Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we stand for world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Our show today is Coexistence and Sustainability with pet psychic Amina. And our topic is the importance of understanding animal emotions. What a great topic. Let's bring out the star of our show and find out what she's been up to. Pet psychic Amina, come on out. Hello.
What I've been up to, no good. Absolutely no good.
Well, that sounds exciting.
I know. You gotta, jazz up the weekday and the work day, and I highly recommend it. And if that is chasing your cat around the house with a little red dot, it'll drive them crazy. Up the walls, down the walls. Everybody who has cats knows what I'm talking about. And then you go out and you chase the dogs. Hey, we're all good. Right now, I'm just trying to keep the squirrels out of my plants because they keep stealing nuts and chews from the neighbors and burying them in my pots. Then I get those mysterious plants going, I don't remember planting that.
I don't remember this being mine.
Exactly.
We actually have some birds that keep trying to steal our tomatoes. So, you got to share, right?
Good taste. Just imagine how yummy those tomatoes must be.
They are really good, I have to say.
Yeah, exactly. So you're doing it right, because if the nature wants your nature, then you're doing it right. Sadly, it's a competition who gets to it first, but
I just would like to have you share a little bit. We've done this before, but we always have new people. We are a global platform. What does coexistence, sustainability have to do with being a pet psychic?
Well, I hope it has to do something with every single one of us. I hope at some point in our minds, it becomes we are sustainability. We are coexistence. If we are not doing these things, if you don't understand the vocabulary, it is really, really time that we do. Because we do coexist. If you like mosquitoes or spiders or whatever you find creepy, crawly, or not, for me, mosquitoes are really not on my to-do list. I've experienced them a great deal in my life. And it's true, Alaska really does have giant ones, and they love to eat on you. And I might not know why they're here outside of being a science major, but there is a reason. The honeybee is so vital to everything we eat. And yet so many people, rightfully, wrongfully, whatever you want to look at it, are terrified of bees. Every bee. A wasp is definitely included in there because they sting and then discuss it with you. A honeybee actually dies when it stings you. So they have to be pretty doggone afraid of you to be able to risk their life to save the greater good of the hive, is basically how it's being looked at. So it matters to all of us. If you drop that gum wrapper on the ground and don't go and pick it up, if you're the one who leaves their Coke can on the sidewalk and say, somebody will get it. I'm still waiting to find out who somebody is, because I haven't met that person called somebody. We all have to take a part in living on this planet, coexisting on this planet, and understanding that without trees, you won't breathe. Without the roots going through the soil, other plants won't live. When we don't take into consideration that we're just one cog in the engine, but the engine won't run without each of us doing our part. That's really the positivity I really want you to hear, is it has to be all of us, not just some of us, that are actively participating in doing better. Whatever doing better means. Not littering, not planting invasive plants in your area, whatever that is. We can all do that.
There you have it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And we're going to be talking about animal emotions. But before we go to this is a topic we've discussed before, what I'm about to say. And I've just been having debates with people who don't believe me. People have said to me recently that they don't pick up their dog waste because it will biodisintegrate, whatever the words are, and it won't. Can you talk a little bit about this?
Absolutely. First of all, it's disgusting. If you or I, people, if people decided to just, bend over and leave their waste, urine is a little bit different. It comes in a liquid form, so it's going to get absorbed somewhere in the soil, but we consume no deer raw, no fruits and vegetables typically raw. Most of our fruits and vegetables have been sprayed, and we're buying them in a store. So we are consuming sodas and what is it? Shakes and everything in between. Our milk is brought in secondhand from the cows, and a lot of times it has preservatives in it. Or if you're doing everything organic, even if you're doing everything organic, our bodies only take what they need and the rest comes out in waste. So if you think that our bowel movements and our urine is healthy for the ground, no, because you're not eating like a deer or a grizzly bear even, who eats meat, but their body is eating pure organic meat, no pesticides, no chemicals, no dye. They haven't been designer bred to have a great coat and a great this and a great that. It does matter. It does matter how organic the food we consume is. Let's say you're the person that goes to the only organic store, you only eat organic vegetables and fruits, and you're even a vegetarian or vegan, whatever that is, you don't eat meat. Our bodies don't put out feces and urine that is conducive to enriching the soil. That's not been the plan. If you are living out in the middle of nowhere and you are harvesting and killing your own food, there might be a little wiggle room in there. I am not the scientist. That would be something to check. If you're living out in the middle of nowhere and you've dug a hole and you've put the little house on top and that is where you put it, but you never ever consume or use toilet paper, you'd have to use something like leaves that's biodegradable. But if your life is like that and you are completely living off the earth in a holistic, non-chemical way, is it possible? Sure. That's a scientist ask. Is it possible? Yes. But how many people do you know, Dr. Jacalyn, and do I know that live like that? I'm going with zero. I don't know anybody who lives like that. I know people who go camping. I know people who go backpacking out in the middle of nowhere. And they make sure that what a lot of hikers and campers now have are bags that they can take their waste with them, even though maybe they would be considered that line of eating off the land or bringing only like beef jerky that they made that has no chemicals. Technically, jerky has a chemical in it to cure it in a way. Human waste specifically is not the same as a wild animal. And let me be really, really even more clear. Your pets, cat or dog, whatever's running around outside, will come in and get cat food or dog food from you is also not biodegradable. How many times have all of us walked somewhere and either stepped in dog poop or seen it, and we're like, how hard is it to have that part of your responsibility as a pet owner to clean up after your pets? I know people who have indoor-outdoor cats, and their cats go outside to go to the bathroom. I can tell you how many plants I've had killed because the neighbor just lets their cat go out to go to the bathroom, but yet they're feeding them Purina ketchup or something that is processed. So therefore their waste is not biodegrading in any kind of remarkable amount of time. It could take 6 months for a dog or cat's feces to be rained on and pooped on and walked on and pushed into the ground. Is it good for the soil? No, absolutely not. There's no redeeming qualities in a large enough quantity to help flowers and all that. Why do we use cow manure? Because cows are outside all the time eating grass. That's the point. And then in our potting soil, they are refining it, they're cleaning it, they are making it, if I can use the word, palpable for the plants to use those minerals and benefits that the cow has more than one stomach. I don't know if a lot of people realize you've got rumination with goats and cows and all these animals that are really, really digesting all of these products. The human body does not do that. It takes what it needs and then lets go to the rest. It's not healthy for us to have feces all over the place, much less walk in it. It's not good for the planet. It's not good for the neighbors. It's not good for anybody. But it's also not going to give you better health or a better healthy plant or anything like that, because you have to be eating plants to do that. Bird feces, I walk on a path that I literally have to walk in half dirt and off the path about 3 or 4 places on the walk I take, because there's a tree and I can see all the bird poop on the sidewalk. That is not biodegrading. Yes, it's on a sidewalk, but even if it was on the dirt, it would have a better chance to become part of the soil. Bird feces is not necessarily very strong in its organicness. Where you get your cattle, it's better. Horses, you can use that, but it's processed, it's aged, it's sat in the sun, it's cleaned up. That's what you're buying in those wonderful stores that now a lot of manure places put minerals and vitamins back in to the soil because it gets stripped away. It is not appropriate, nor is it nice for your neighbors to find your dog's poop in the planters outside their house or in the dirt where they're walking or on a hiking trail. Part of being a pet owner is being responsible for the entire pet. Meaning if your animal has aggression issues, then you're always in with a collar. Always with a collar, always restrained until that behavior can be trained out. And you can go to a trainer and or you can go online, and there's a lot of great YouTube videos about that. But remember, pet feces is not biodegradable in any markable amount of time that 5 people wouldn't have already stepped in it. And if it was you, I can't imagine you'd want to do that, especially if you didn't notice and you walked into your house with poop on it. I don't know about you, that wouldn't go over really well with me.
No, that's a great point. And thanks for addressing about cow manure also, because I'm sure people have wondered about that. So there you've heard it. You know what the truth is. So please abide by it. And now
because I promise it'll be there next week. It'll be there the week after that. And we all see what you're doing. We all roll our eyes because you've been a pet owner. I've been a pet owner. I don't have dogs right now. You don't have dogs right now, but I have cats. Now they're indoors full time. But there's no way I am going to let them run around and just say, hey, go poop at the neighbor's house.
Right.
What?
Definitely not. That's
Well, and on a really quirky note, I was going to put something in the trash because the trash people were coming, and I'm looking at my trash can, and it's fairly small because we recycle mostly everything, and I'm like, how did I get 900 pounds more trash this week than I did last week? And come to find out, it looked like one of my neighbors had literally put all their trash in my trash bin. And you're like, what? And it's the same thing. If you're leaving poop on the sidewalk, you're like, okay, what neighbor did this? But let me caution you about jumping to any conclusions. I did not. I know this neighbor. I've spoken to him. We've had a couple of problems with our mails or somewhere where we could, shared mailman stories. And I walked over to his house, knocked on the door, and said, hey, I just wanted to know if everything's okay. I had all this trash of yours in our trash can. And he's like, my Amazon package went on a vacation, I see, and now we know where the wrapper went. So somebody had stolen his package off his stoop and had gone to my trash can to dump all the trash that he had stolen because he took the products out.
wow.
So, could you have ever dreamed? I would never have dreamed that in a 1,000 years. But what I'm encouraging everybody to do before you accuse your neighbor of leaving the poop on the sidewalk, ask them, hey, did you run out of bags? I have some. Maybe you have a dog. I have some bags. Love to share those with you. It makes a better relationship with your neighbors when you come in with a question and not an accusation. I could have easily gone up to him and say, what is wrong with you? Why are you filling my trash in? Because it was 2 bags of trash. And I was like, this is a lot of trash. And he'd never done it before. So I'm like, something's up. I think I'm missing something. So I just asked him, and I had the trash bags with me. I said, what's up? And he's like, oh, that fills in so many gaps for him because of the Amazon package was the trash of the Amazon package was part of that trash that he'd had stolen off his porch.
Ah, what a story.
But again, the big lesson is don't assume.
Right.
Just ask somebody with kindness, with respect, because it'll take you longer when there's that flash flood or a hurricane or fires, which we have experienced here in California a lot of. And I'm in a really dry area, literally 1-2 houses away. There's a giant field of dry grass. Don't you think I'd want to have a really good relationship with my neighbors?
Absolutely.
And we can support each other.
Yeah, for sure.
Not accuse them of trash. Who cares? It fit.
Yes, absolutely great points. So let's also discuss today about how to understand animal emotions, because that could, and we're talking about all kinds of animals, it doesn't matter, but that could be a potential lifesaver in some cases, or it can help you connect with the animal. Tell us about animal emotions. Are they different than human emotions?
I want to say yes, because what I don't want somebody to grab onto is the facts are animals, yes, hurt. Animals do get sad. Animals experience loss, death or otherwise, moving away. If anybody's had the experience, and I know somebody out there today is listening, and their child or themselves left for college, and their cat, dog, whatever pet it was, literally went into a depression. I've seen it happen because they don't understand college until you come back a couple of times and they go, oh, this is just a really long vacation. If they understood the word vacation. Animals grieve, animals hurt, animals do everything we do. They just do it a little differently. And to understand that is to say, they don't have a concept that they can't go to the bathroom there. Now, I don't know about you guys. My cats didn't all come pre-litter box trained. If I adopted them after they'd been rescued or something and had a litter box in the shelter, of course, they knew what that was. But I got to put one in a place that's easy to get to and have plenty of access so that they understand the perimeters and say, okay, this is yes and this is no. And what does that mean? And what does that look like? Communicate with your pets. It is so vital. And I mean, talk to them. Whatever your language is, they'll learn it because they're looking at your eyes, they're looking at your hands, they're looking at your body language. And then when you say no, and you go, no, don't do that, they really catch on to what that word means because there's actions. There typically is an action after those words. So think about that. Does a honeybee understand that you are harmless? No, you're a carnivore. And they say, oh, but I only eat vegetables. Well, they don't know that. Your creation was the ability, hence our teeth and our fingers, to eat meat. They all only see is, oh my gosh, I'm terrified. Now, I've worked with honeybees for years and worked with kids with honeybees because I really wanted them to understand how gentle they are. They understand they die if they sting you. This is not a wasp. We're not talking about wasps. It's a totally different conversation. Honeybee really, really just wants to get to that flower and get back to the hive, and get back to that flower and get back to the hive. If we stay out of their way and respect the fact that they have the right to live, especially if you want to eat anything, because they're going to all start with a honeybee. The honeybee's going to create the grass that feeds the cow and the flowers that we all so much love. So you need to support. And a lot of times the first part of supporting is understanding why. Why would I support? You know, a lot of people used to, this was really prevalent in about the 60s and 70s, I saw it a lot, was if you saw aggressive animal, especially let's say, just say a dog, because they're out there barking at everybody and they're growling. And the movie Cujo came out and things like that. Then you were, oh, that's just a bad dog. That's just a bad dog. I truly believe there's not necessarily bad people or bad dogs or bad pets. I think they need love, time, training, and compassion. It can win the day. It can win the day. And hopefully I reasserted a great relationship with my neighbor by not jumping to any conclusion that he put his trash in, even though I had a trash with his name on it in my trash. Things don't always look the way that you think they are, and that's the same with your pets. If your pet is, for example, urinating in the house, or defecating, whatever it is, or chewing on the side onto the couches or your furniture, there's a reason. And that's when you get a trainer involved. That's when you get somebody like me involved and say, why? What's happening? And we can hopefully fill in the gaps. We're not perfect. We do our best with the education and the gifts we have. But think outside your box and don't jump to conclusions and say, oh, you're just a horrible, terrible, whatever. Love and compassion first. Figure out why. And that goes true for neighbors, coworkers, and so many other relationships.
Love and compassion, they're the two key words.
Exactly.
Let's also talk a little bit about animal emotions when we have pets and being able to understand how they're feeling based on the emotions they're demonstrating. Because many times I've seen this, and I probably have done it myself. The dog is acting a certain way and we've got a lot going on. Stop it, stop barking. And they're trying to express something. And it's almost like when a baby cries and you have to be able to understand it. Would you say there's some similarities there?
With a baby, absolutely. Because I don't know about you, I wasn't born knowing what my kids are talking about when they're crying. So I had the same thing. That was a perfect example, Dr. Jacalyn. Goodness sakes, we could have planned that ahead of time, even better. But having that human, small, whatever age, under 2, maybe longer, because if you've met teenagers, it can go on a while, is what they do and what it looks like to you is from your perspective. If you are judging your animals as if they are, I don't know, horses instead of dogs, or vice versa, you're training the horse like a dog, that doesn't work. And it doesn't work for every cat or every dog or everything. When I work with clients and I do a lot of behavioral consultations and help with training tips, I'm going to give that person at least 3 options of things that work in the training world. For example, you want your animal to sit and stay anywhere. This is one of the most pivotal things to save a life. Dr. Jacalyn, do you have any guess why I would say, if I told my dog to sit, stay, why I would say that would be the most important thing to ever teach any of your animals? Not stay off the dining room table, don't chew on your brother's leg. No, it would be sit and stay. Do you have any guesses?
For their safety?
For it could save their life.
Wow, yay, 2 points for me.
No, and it really, because it makes sense. What happens if they dash out in the street? If you don't have a strong sit stay and or come, but sometimes sit and don't move will save their life, because the car, let's say they don't see, or they don't understand a car will literally kill them, and they're playing and they're chasing their ball or whatever. If you don't have that relationship of trust in your pack to say, sit, and they go, boop, and they wag their tail going, oh, this is so much fun, but they're holding still. And then this semi goes by. And the dog still won't necessarily put that together, but all the people that are standing with you will go, oh my God, that could have literally killed my dog. That's why a recall, when you can take your animals and say, come, and they come to you, and they could sit, especially if your dog sit right at your feet, and they don't care why you said come. They're not looking at, you're not like a person who's saying, why? Why do I have to come? I want to play this. I want to do this. And your kids can do that to you all you want. Your spouse can do that to you. But at some point, you need the trust. And you have to build trust even with animals. If you're yanking their chain, literally or figuratively, if you're pulling their tail and you think that's fun, if you're doing unkind things, or you are thinking that these are jokes, that you can get them as close to a car as possible and see if he can live through the experience, that's not building trust. That's just saying, wow, I got to watch this one all the time and quantify if what they're asking me has any validity. Who wants that relationship? So what I highly recommend is you be trustworthy. You have the strength to say, I'm asking only things that are necessary when I ask you to sit and stay. And sometimes, right now, I a couple months ago had a friend who has a very large dog, and they're worried about their new baby and the dog. And now the breed is great. That does play a little bit of a factor, but this is a pretty big dog. This dog is under about 65 pounds. So it's a big dog for a new baby and a new parents. This is their first human baby. So you need to know that your dog, cat, whatever, can be appropriate around a senior citizen and not trip your grandmother when they come to visit, or any of these other things. But the first and foremost thing that happens is trust. Are you reliable? Are you feeding them? Are you spending time with them? Are you building that respect between each other? Are you there with love? Even trainers, even really tough trainers, you see them with police dogs, you see them with working dogs, C9 dogs, all of these types of really, really well-trained animals. There's a great deal of love in their life and responsibility. You'll see this even in the military dogs. When they're at work, they're at work. But when they're home with mom or dad and their family, Ask any of the trainers and or the people with these animals. They'll say, I would give my children safety up to these animals because they are committed to the life of their pack. And their pack has little kids, whatever that is. And they will defend you to the death.
I do have a question,
Mm.
which is when you think about dogs, canines that are used by police or in the military, obviously they've been trained to control their emotions because they're doing a job, right?
Right.
So how can we train people to control?
Well, that's for a longer show. And we need to bring all your other co-hosts because, you know, they all have expertise in this too. But it's, if I have to shorten it down, which I do, it is really important. Being a first responder was, I think, easier for me. And it was the logical thing for me to get trained in because I have the ability to distance myself from making something personal and making something professional. I am able to go through earthquakes, literally. Where I grew up in Southern California, we had quite a few. And I grew up in a time with single pane glass and a 2-story house that could have just crushed us. And none of that happened, thank goodness. But buildings, even in the place I grew up that had a lot of earthquakes, we learned in school, we learned in our home, we learned my parents had a emergency plan for all of us. There were 7 of us. So we had to have that kind of plan. So I grew up having those gifts enhanced that I'm able to calm down when everybody else gets excited or panics. These are really important things to learn. When you're training your animals, when you're trying to teach your children strength and what to be afraid of and what to be concerned about and all that, you need to do it with calmness and love and patience, because not everybody likes spiders like I do. I understand that. I try not to go around putting spiders in people's faces because that's just cruel. But I'm the one, I have pictures of me holding one of the tarantulas. There were many, but this one, and somebody actually ended up filming me, and the tarantula I was holding, I'm gonna hold my hands up. So I was holding him on my palm. If you see a tarantula, they're quite large. And so he was like, I'm out of here. But I was in the middle of a demonstration with some adults and some kids to explain about this tarantula. So he's like, I'm out of here. So I just did this, moved my hand over and over and over so he could walk. I was the treadmill, but to accommodate his fear. And he really calmed down. This tarantula really calmed down when he went, okay, I'm not going anywhere. But I wasn't a threat. I knew I had to keep my energy down. When you're dealing with high emotions and you're trying to help somebody understand your perspective or the way you need to do it, and vice versa, you want to listen better to them, try doing that. Find something that pulls your energy into a calm. If that's thinking about your favorite pet, or it's thinking about your favorite food, or your favorite person, what would they do? I know there's been times where I think about, what will my dad do here? He was a coach my whole life, and probably his whole life since he had a master's degree in it, and he was fair. He taught all of us, all 5 of his kids were on his teams. We all played tennis. And he treated us exactly like everybody else. There was never any favoritism. Some disappointment, I think, once in a while with me. But that was just because maybe I didn't do things the way he wanted it done. But he honored it. And that's what I want you to do. Think about your emotions and think about what's the healthiest way to change the situation so that you're calmer and that you can handle it, because life does not treat us fairly every single day. It's going to go up, it's going to go down. And the more you can manage those the more your animals will be happier with you. You will be happier with them because your expectations will be hopefully more realistic. So think about that. When your animal won't keep sitting down when you keep saying, sit, 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 I want you to sit. Maybe it's your technique. Don't push their butt down. That's not a good training tool. And or there's no respect. You cannot buy respect. You cannot punish somebody into respect. That's the entire opposite side of that. But what you can do is get outside training, outside input. There's a million videos. There's a million different trainers, all kinds of tips out there. And you can find the one that works for you too, whichever your animal is. Now, right now, I've just talked about my 3 cats, and they're night and day personalities. So I have to handle each one completely different. And the cats don't care if one gets this and one gets that. They kind of go, oh, well, that's her thing. That's his thing. So don't need to worry about that. Oh, it's not fair. That one always gets to sleep on the, I don't know, the queen bed or something. But if the cats are okay with it, then why aren't we?
Excellent question. So I also think it's important that we discuss aligning our own emotions when we're around our animals. So what I mean by that is if we're having a rough day and we just decide to take it out on our animals, or they're around while we're going through some volatility, what are your thoughts? If we're having a bad day, should we keep them in another room until we get ourselves together?
I'm going to switch that a little.
Okay.
I'm going to say, you should go to another room. we should go to another room, but it felt funnier to say you, since you offered the line. I think there's too many times we don't quarantine ourselves. I really think humanity could go with a lot more pandemics and stay home. If that analogy works, I hope it leaves a memory. There is nothing wrong with you taking 10 minutes, 30 minutes, a day and a half, whatever you need, to balance yourself back out. Some things are catastrophic. Some things are shocking. Some things are like, whatever, and you move on. And everything in between all that. You get to decide, not anybody else, not your boss. Jobs are important, absolutely. But in your transitions of managing your emotions or being kind with your animal and their emotions, try to see why. If you have a dog that constantly, or a cat or a lizard or whatever your pet is, birds are different, and they just keep pooping on your carpet, pooping on your shoes, whatever, not in the litter box, not asking to go out when they've been trained to scratch at the door or something to let you know they needed to go out and go to the bathroom. And there's accident after accident. This screams for me as a trainer and an avid reader and study of animal behavior. What am I missing? What communication am I missing? Did they look at me a certain way? Did they try to get my attention and I shoot them away? What did you miss? I'm not talking about blaming yourself. I'm talking about you as the human in the relationship who probably pays rent or owns the house or pays for the food. So there's a lot of responsibilities on you already. Why wouldn't you want the best, happiest animal who's listened to? Dr. JACALYN, have you ever gone up, even with your puppies, ever gone up to an animal and pet them and they look like they were going to eat you?
Absolutely.
Because now I'm thinking about your wonderful twins, right? Or were they triplets?
There were 3.
Yeah, there was 3. So Can you imagine? I can't imagine how many times you went for a walk and 900 people went, oh, gotta.
So cute.
Yeah, and what they don't understand is the smaller breeds can be more aggressive because of us. Because can you think of when we were kids and the little old lady would come up? I mean, it was a stereotype, definitely. I didn't have this actually happen to me. Maybe you would already a couple times go, oh, you're so cute. Because I happen to have dimples. I got talked about these dimples on my face like I had, I don't know, been given the crown jewel of cheeks. But oh, I can't tell you how many women pinched my cheeks. And I'm like,
it's annoying.
Is this, and when you're little, you go, this feels wrong. This really feels wrong. And then you get to be a teenager, you go, oh, no, old lady, I'm going this way.
And I had an uncle who used to pull my ear all the time. And I'd be like, why are you pulling my ear? Like, you're invading someone's personal space and you don't even bother to ask.
No, and it was generational. It was assumed because of the hierarchy of elders, and they could do no wrong. We learned a lot about that in the 70s, huh? I was like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And they all went to jail in the 80s. But the same thing with somebody's pet is the same thing with somebody's child, or would you go up to an adult, say, oh, you're so cute, and went, yeah, no, you don't know if they have a gun, but they definitely could slap you. It's the same respect with animals. I don't care if they're wild or they are native or they're somebody's pet. Remember, emotions. You're coming with so much strong energy. I'm going to hit you. I'm going to pitch you. I'm going to pitch you. Can you imagine how terrifying that is for an animal who doesn't know you? You don't have the right to accost anybody. And animals are the same way. They want to be loving and balanced. If you get bit and then the police find out and nobody bothers to say, wait a minute, this was human error, and the animal gets put down because they bit you, who's responsible now? If you ever think that this is an equitable solution, then please rethink your whole diagram of what's fair, because an animal has a right to say, no, I'm afraid and I don't want to be pet. I don't want to be picked up or handled or whatever. Some owners I have seen this, had their back turned, their animal's on a leash, and all of a sudden their animal feels higher or lower or is growling because somebody thought it was okay without permission from the owner to come up and physically be a part of that animal's moment and day. And when you get bit, that animal ends up dying. Because the police are going to say, oh, well, if he's going to bite there or they're going to bite there, it's possible. That could be a death sentence for that animal. And we caused it. So think about emotions for animals is so vital, the same for people. I want you to have the choice to say, you know what? I don't shake hands. If it's pandemic, not pandemic, it doesn't matter why you don't shake hands. I know of religious cultures, that's not done. That's a Western culture. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, well, we're in the US, so you have to do that. No, nobody has to do anything. Maybe not throw trash on the ground. Maybe not hit people with their car. You know, life and death, dirt and coexisting in a healthy way. Your animals feel as strongly as we do. It's just manifested or acted out on in a different way. So I really, really suggest when you walk, if you have a pet or you don't, like right now, I don't have any dogs. I just have the cats. I don't have fish. I had a lot of those over my life. I had lizards, all of these types of things. Absolutely love reptiles. Had birds. All of these things I've experienced. So what I'm suggesting is think about from the animal's point of view, if you at all possibly can. And I know you can. If you don't understand, you can read up. You can watch National Geographic. You can watch Disney shows, even the cartoon ones. They're a little different, but it gets you to start. And having empathy, at the very least, for other living people and animals.
I didn't know if there was more. Okay.
There's
Fantastic.
always more, but I believe in breathing so you can actually talk and everybody just has to listen to me go on. That's the problem with too much education. It's like, okay, where do I pick?
Yeah.
And I
No,
want to make sure that I address people that haven't thought about it. Because when it's a new concept, you and I know this. As a coach, you know this. You're introducing new concepts and
yes.
saying, have you thought about it this way? You're doing these amazing shows. How many iterations have you and I, much less all of us, are your co-hosts and you, done? Hey, we're going to do a different background. We're going to do a different mic. We're going to try a different this. Every industry, everything we do, from cooking to going to the grocery store and everything else, we all do it a little differently. It's not wrong.
No, it makes it interesting.
Exactly.
Excellent.
It makes it interesting. That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect.
Fantastic. Well, another show just chock full of education, hope, and inspiration. So thank you for that. We have your banner up, but for people who can't read it, what is the best way to get in touch with you? And what are the services that you can offer?
Thank you. So I'm known as the pet psychic. I do hear animals speak. I have all my life since I was a little kid. And didn't talk about it a lot when I was little. I tried once. Somebody said, what? And I said, that looks different. I didn't know everybody else didn't hear what they hear. So what I can help with is from wherever you are, and you introduce me to your pets via phone call or video. I do both. I can help you, especially with difficult training questions. As you can see, I am a trained trainer. And I can help you with end of life. And I have a deep respect and have dealt with people and animals that have passed, or they're trying to decide if it is the right time. A lot of times I get from the pet owner, is this the right time? Am I being premature? What does my pet want? Those are the questions I can get answers for. All pets have the right to refuse a conversation with me or you. And the only time I've been turned down in 10 years, maybe 3 times, is because it wasn't healthy for the person to know. And it would have been something catastrophic. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but one example was one of their partners was actually abusing the animal. And they couldn't figure out why it was a small dog, was so shy at home, but when they went out for walks by themselves, the dog was fine. And she had no idea that her partner was abusing the dog. So the truth is not always what we think it's going to be. But I promise to always tell it. And that is what I'm doing here. And Dr. Jacalyn, you're so kind to let me explain so many other topics and let people know they're not alone. There are lots of us trainers out here that are just willing and waiting to work with you. And I am one of them and would be proud to do so.
Reach out to Pet Psychic Aminah. She is definitely a gift in my life. I've learned so much from you as I've shared and more today. So thank you for helping me wake up and take responsibility for the things I was doing in my life. And there's a lot of things I've changed. So thank you to you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on Friday next week.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you on Friday.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye. You too. Thanks, everyone. Again, please do reach out to Amina. That's why she's here. She's providing education. She's taking her time. She's making an investment in you. All you have to do is reach out. Okay. As we close out the show, just a couple of quick announcements. Some of you may know that we have expanded our platform in partnership with E360 TV. And what that means is it's not that every show is going to go to E360 TV. So it's up to the show host if they want theirs to go. And we actually just had our first 2 shows go on Monday. So A Woman's Prerogative actually was one show, but because of the fact that we have various time zones, when the time change came, all the ladies couldn't get together at the same time because it was in the middle of the night, or it was about to be midnight, or it was first thing in the morning. So we had a challenge with Africa and with New Zealand. So now we have 2 episodes of A Woman's Prerogative on Mondays, and both of these are streaming over USA Global TV and radio. And then we also stream at the same time to E360 TV, which takes us on to Amazon, Roku, Apple TV, and Android devices. So please do join us as we expand and give our team more places to share their work. Also, if you are in the States and you will be around in Philadelphia in October, I've been asked to speak as a VIP speaker by Dr. Justina Mutali, and the initiative is Hands Across Philadelphia, and the name of the conference is World Summit on Women and Girls. I'd love to have you there with your support, so you can reach out for more information. And then finally, my latest book is out, which is Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening. It's available on pre-order right now on Kindle. And the book cover that you see here is actually going to be changing. Why? Because we have someone very special who has written a foreword for the book. And his name is Keith Saltoyanes, and he's a writer at National Lampoon. He's a best-selling author, and he's the founder of the school Improv LA. He's been on Curb Your Enthusiasm. So many incredible accomplishments that he's made, and he's written the foreword. So we will be changing the book cover. And we released the book just this week. It actually went up to number 1. And when I checked before, it was number 5. But I need people to keep buying, keep pre-ordering. And if you can leave feedback, I don't think you can yet, but the actual paperback and the hardback will be available on the International Day of Listening, which is September 21st. So you can go to Amazon on any of the platforms across the world, put in my name, and you should be able to get it. So that's all for now. We're signing off. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful weekend. We're going to hear from one of our team members, and then we will be closing out. Bye for now.
Hello, Mariska Dupree here, and I am a leadership and development coach that work within the transformation space. And I am also a talking head here on USA Global TV and radio, as well as being part of some of the other programs, such as A Woman's Prerogative. And I've been with USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn for quite some time now. So I thought I would let the rest of you into a couple of secrets. So first off, I absolutely love this platform. And that's most probably why I keep coming back. It is such a great group of people to work with. And Dr. Jacalyn continuously look at different ways for everybody to be able to collaborate. So if you are looking for a great space that feels a little bit like family, this is definitely the platform to be at. The other thing that brings a lot of value is, as you may or may not know, we have quite an extensive following. So if you have any programming or any ideas that you would like to bring into the world and get some eyes on what it is that you do, USA Global TV and Radio is definitely the place to be. Now, personally, as I mentioned earlier on, I do my talking head shows, which comes up on a Thursday in the US and a Friday for me here in New Zealand. So even if you are situated in a different place, different continent, Dr. Jacalyn makes it really easy for you to be able to be on this platform and be a part of what it is that we are building within USA Global TV and Radio. So it doesn't even matter if you are in a different area like I am, because you can still be part of this fabulous family. And the other thing that I also enjoy about working within this very collaborative space is it is not only within the USA Global TV platform that we work. There are other collaborations also taking place. For instance, me and Dr. Jacalyn wrote a couple of children's books that you might have heard about. The Adventures of Lady Allah. And we even wrote a song with one of the other presenters of A Women's Prerogative, that is Dr. Chan. So there are a lot of scope within this platform, not only to promote the things that you are doing in the world, but also to grow the things that you might be doing in the world. And that is definitely, in my book, a good reason to be on this platform. So until I see you at my next Talking Heads or A Women's Prerogative show, and please join us. Until next time.